How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 2.
Greetings, conversationalists. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here this Open Line Friday. The phone number is 877-973-7425 should you wish to be on the program. Happy to have you. Text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777. Get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast, so much more. We got to talk about Noem, but before I move on from the Iran situation, I'm going to go on and take Daniel's phone call here about the Middle East. Daniel, welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. I'm just happy I got through the call screener this time.
You know, he's a persnickety one.
Yeah, I've been trying for a couple years. I want to talk about Lloyd's in London. They canceled the war and conflict insurance with all the ships traveling through the Strait of Hormuz, and Trump says he's going to back them with insurance and security. How big of a deal is this, and can you explain this dynamic to me?
Oh, yes. Okay. So let me pull up my map here. So the Straits of Hormuz is to get in and out of the Persian Gulf, where most of the oil comes from. There is a peninsula, and that peninsula is the Oman jutting out from the south end of the Arabian Peninsula towards Iran. Iran's on the north end. Bandar Abbas is a big city there. They have a major military operation there, and Iran essentially can fire missiles from land and hit pretty much any tanker, and so they can operationally shut it down. They can lay mines. They haven't done that yet, to anyone's knowledge. But to get any of the oil out of the Middle East, you got to go through the Straits of Hormuz. And what Lloyd's of London is saying is they are canceling insurance on any ship that goes through the Straits of Hormuz because of war zone. Now, that means that you can't operationally sail through the Straits of Hormuz as an oil tanker, because you got to have insurance to sail and to dock at a port in the Middle East. So if you don't have an insurance policy from Lloyd's of London, you can't dock in Dubai or Abu Dhabi or Jebel Ali or Kuwait City, Bahrain, Qatar. You can't do it. So what Donald Trump is essentially doing is saying the United States government will step in. Now, the question here is the legality of it, because Congress hasn't approved it. So a lot of ships aren't taking advantage of it, and they're just waiting on the outside of the Straits of Hormuz before going into the Persian Gulf to see if the president's statements will be honored by essentially the American government. Will they actually step up and say this is good? Otherwise, these tankers can't get through. Now, the moment that if Congress were to act to agree to this, or we get some clarity that the president can do this, oil prices will start going back down because the tankers will start flowing. We believe operationally that we have stopped Iran's ability to destroy these tankers. We have enough weaponry and hardware. We've blown up their navy. We've sunk their fleet. Now, we've blown up these islands where all of the military capacity is for Iran. We believe that we have shut down their ability to shut down the Straits of Hormuz, but no one's willing to test it until either Lloyd's of London changes their mind or the president's word can be honored. They will cover the cost. It's a really, really, really big concern because again, these ships are super expensive, and if you don't have insurance on them, they're not going to allow you into any of the ports. It's a problem. I also do wonder to a degree if Lloyd's of London overreacted, and is Lloyd's of London also trying to jeopardize and put pressure on Trump? I don't know that that's the case. They're just an insurance company, but you never know. Now, let's move to Noem. Yesterday, I had to leave. I knew that, so I was having vast right-wing conspiracy meetings in D.C. I did the show live on Wednesday, and I was supposed to be able to do the show fully live yesterday, and then I had airline changes, moved my flight earlier, so then I knew I had to pre-record the last hour and a half of the show. So I did my meetings in the morning, did part of the show, then we ran the best of, or the pre-recorded rest of it, and of course, the moment I get to Dulles International Airport, Kristi Noem gets fired. So I literally have to make my way through airport security, go somewhere. I have this little bitty lavalier microphone that I can do some stuff with. And the audio quality is well enough that yesterday, no one noticed. Had I not told you that I was broadcasting live through my cell phone with this lavalier, no one would have known. But I had to, because I had pre-recorded a segment on Homeland Security, and then she got fired. So I did like 4 minutes and 35 seconds for the second segment to bring you up to speed. Here's what I know. As I said yesterday, Markwayne Mullin, the senator of Oklahoma, fantastic guy, by the way. He's just one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. He's a great guy. He's going to be the Secretary of Homeland Security. Kristi Noem was fired. There is spin from supporters of the president claiming Kristi Noem was not fired. She was just moved to something else. We all know she was fired. You don't have to spin this stuff. The president's not going to kick her to the curb. He's going to land her somewhere else, but he's essentially made up a position for her under Marco Rubio, and it's a do-nothing position. She got fired. Now, there are some who will say that she got fired because she had a bad performance before the United States Senate, which she did. But it was an accumulation of things. The Kristi Noem problems extend beyond the shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. If you're on the left, they claim that she got fired because of Alex Preddy and Renee Good, and that's not true. But there was a drip of problems. So you had the bungling of the roundups of illegal aliens that got a lot of American citizens rounded up. You have the Renee Good, Alex Preddy situations. You have Kristi Noem spending like $100 million on Homeland Security commercials that featured her. Like the number one movie at the box office this weekend had a budget of $70 million. Kristi Noem spent about double that on Homeland Security commercials that featured her. Then the straw that broke the camel's back was she gave a $100+ million no bid contract allegedly to Tricia McLaughlin's husband. Tricia McLaughlin was the press secretary for Homeland Security. She resigned from her position shortly after her husband's company is alleged to have gotten a no-bid contract from the Department of Homeland Security. And then the Department of Homeland Security says, well, actually, we allowed it to be open to several different entities that were apparently picked so that only one of them could actually do it. And that was that one that got it. And then she claimed to Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana before the Senate Homeland Security Committee that President Trump had blessed the deal. Now, here's what I know personally that I can tell you. Multiple people, after she said that, talked to the President of the United States, and he genuinely had no idea. A Reuters reporter was the ultimate straw that broke the camel's back on this. A Reuters reporter, after other people had mentioned it to the president and he didn't know what they were talking about, a Reuters reporter called the president and started asking him about this deal, $250 million deal. Thank you to whoever just texted me. And the president gets off the phone with the Reuters reporter, calls a mutual friend, and says he realizes that people are really mad at Kristi Noem, but it sounds like someone is setting her up, claiming that she authorized a $250 million no-bid contract and gave it to a friend. This is now, listen, I know what I'm talking about on this. The president had a series of people ask him about this $250 million deal, gets a Reuters reporter who calls him and gets him on the phone, and the president believes that this is another effort to sabotage Kristi Noem, and calls someone who he thinks will know the details, and that person says, Mr. President, she authorized a no-bid $250 million contract and testified before the Senate Homeland Security Committee that you approved it. And there was silence. And then there was rage. And then he decided it's time to fire her. See, here's something you've got to understand this. I'm going to tell you something, and your reaction is going to be that I'm spinning you, and I'm not. I'm telling you the truth. You may not like it. You may not want to believe it. This is the truth. When people pile on members of the Trump administration, President Trump's reaction is that the pile on is political, not truthful. That people are just trying to collect scalps from his administration to make him look bad. President Trump's default is that the people in his administration are doing the work he wants them to do and doing it well. And so when people say this person is incompetent, he's like, well, you hate me, therefore you hate them, therefore you're trying to make them look bad to force something. The president has had that reaction all along to the attacks on Kristi Noem. But after the Alex Preddy handling of that guy's death, the red flags started cropping up with the president. And he started paying attention and essentially retroactively looking back at other things he had been told about Kristi Noem that he was very defensive of for her. And he started to realize there is a problem. And then you have the commercials that she shot. And then you have the airplane. And apparently she got Melania Trump on one of the airplanes to claim it was useful and necessary. And you've got this underlying creepy relationship between Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem that no one seems to be able to really explain well, which has always kind of bothered the president. Interestingly enough, it has. And so then you had this. You had people call the president saying, hey, this is happening. And he's like, no, this is a hit job on, this is another hit job on Kristi. Very defensive of her. Until the Reuters reporter calls, who the president has a relationship with, and starts asking him. And the president decides this is a real hit job on Kristi Noem, and it's taken off. I've got friends of mine calling me about this. I need to figure out what's going on. So he calls this person who informs the president that she really did this. And then after this, he calls John Kennedy, the senator from Louisiana, who confirms everything and says, yeah, she said to our committee under oath that you approved it. And at that point, it was time for her to go. John Kennedy was one of the people who recommended Markwayne Mullin, the senator from Oklahoma, multiple others. Markwayne Mullin, you should understand, is the Trump whisperer in the Senate. Whenever anyone in the Senate wants to go to Donald Trump with something, they run stuff through Markwayne Mullin, who oftentimes runs interference for him. He and Trump have a great relationship. He's a solid guy. You know, the Democrats are attacking Markwayne Mullin now twofold. One, that he doesn't have a college degree, and two, that he made a lot of money while he was in Congress. On the first one, he does not have a college degree. Markwayne Mullin is the only member of the United States Senate to not have a college degree. He dropped out of college because his father got extremely sick, and Markwayne Mullin had to leave college to take over the family business. And then he made a lot of money when he got to Congress, because when he got to Congress, he sold his family's business and made a lot of money, having turned his father's small business into a multi-state major corporation for hundreds of millions of dollars. He sold it. He is a self-made man. He is a very smart businessman. He comes across as this all-shucks country redneck, and he is a great guy. Markwayne Mullin is also the man who, when Joe Biden left thousands of Americans behind in Afghanistan, Markwayne Mullin sneaked into the country and rescued Americans from Afghanistan. He is just an amazing guy. He will be a great Secretary of Homeland Security. So now what's going to happen with the replacement? Well, there's a curious little twist in Oklahoma law. If the governor, Kevin Stitt, gets to appoint Markwayne Mullin's replacement, but whoever he picks has to sign an affidavit with the Oklahoma Secretary of State that they will not run for election for the United States Senate if appointed to serve in the position. Now, that's not binding. They technically could, but they would put it in writing. They have no desire to run. And then if they put their name on the ballot, well, they would be breaking their word. So they're expecting someone to go who will serve temporarily. And then there are a couple of congressmen from Oklahoma who are looking like they may get into the race. Hello there. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number 877-973-7425. My buddy Skylar at KRMG says he used to run the board for Mark Wayne Mullen when he did a weekend plumbing show on KRMG out there in Tulsa. Y'all, I got to tell you, I genuinely think the world of Mark Wayne Mullen. He is a just salt of the earth guy, dropped out of college to take over the family business, turned it into a multi-million-dollar, multi-state heating and air and plumbing enterprise, sold it when he went off to Congress, and he's just been a great member of Congress. And there are lots of people who say, well, the guy's not bright because he just comes across as kind of an ordinary guy. You'd have no idea about his wealth from selling the business. He's a good guy. And I mean, he will be far more competent than Kristi Noem in the Department of Homeland Security. But I got a question. So do we actually need the Department of Homeland Security? I got a question. Do we need the Department of Homeland Security? I ask because it's been shut down. The Department of Homeland Security is shut down and no one seems to care. No one even notices it. We're in a military engagement in Iran and there's no Republican urgency to get it funded. The Democrats don't want to get it funded. If no one's in a hurry to fund the Department of Homeland Security, do we need the Department of Homeland Security? There's no urgency from Republicans or Democrats to get it done. So do we actually need this department? That I do not know. Now, let me tell you about Old Glory Bank. Old Glory Bank is my bank, and it has been my bank now for over 2 years. I was one of their very first customers, and I was the one who tried to get them to advertise on the show so I could tell you about them. They were started because of the debanking trends in the country, where progressives at banks and pressuring banks were getting banks to stop doing business with conservatives. And it wasn't just like gun stores and gun manufacturers who banks were debanking. It was conservative activists, conservative organizations. And I obviously was concerned given what I do, and I started banking with Old Glory Bank. They are a bank that is committed to your freedom. They are a bank that is committed to your right to bank, and they are a bank that shares your values by conservatives, for conservatives, headquartered in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. They are a nationwide bank, but they're an online bank. But don't let that deter you. If your business is very hands-on with you, if you're active duty military, they will waive some fees for you and give you the premium check. I just got the basic checking and savings. Check them out at oldglorybank.com/Eric. That's oldglorybank.com/ERICK. oldglorybank.com/Eric. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. Terms and conditions apply. Hello, welcome. It's Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. This open line Friday. Very, very happy to have you with me. I continue to be flummoxed the more I learn about the story. And flummox must be my crutch word lately because I've been saying it a lot. I need to find a different word. Y'all, this horrible story in Virginia keeps getting worse. A woman in Fairfax, Virginia, was murdered by an illegal alien. Let me read you this story here. Fairfax County Police warned the county's Commonwealth's attorney about the undocumented illegal immigrant accused of killing a woman at a Hybla Valley bus stop. Nick Minnock obtained emails and a Freedom of Information Act request. They show the Fairfax County Police Department warning Fairfax County Commonwealth Attorney Steve Descano's office about Abdul Jullah, a Sierra Leone national who Department of Homeland Security said is in the country illegally. Jullah is now charged with murdering Stephanie Minter at a Fairfax County bus stop. A Fairfax County police major wrote to Fairfax County Chief Deputy Commonwealth Attorney Jenna Sands, quote, "I wanted to bring Mr. Jella's release to your attention because Mr. Jella is one of the repeated violent offenders we discussed when we met. I wanted to get your background on why he is out so soon and ask if his prior suspended sentence of, I believe, 5 years was pursued by your office. Unfortunately, based on MTV station's numerous dealings with him, it is not a question of if, but rather when he will maliciously wound or worse again. My role of keeping the public safe prompts me to follow up on a status." ABC 7 News found Jella had more than 40 past charges in Fairfax County, ranging from rape to assault, and in almost every case, Descano's office dropped the charges. An email of a bond alert from August of 2026 from a Fairfax County police employee to Assistant Chief Brooke Wright, which says Jalla has had over 100 involvements with the Fairfax County Police Department over the years, resulting in multiple charges and arrests spanning from theft to violent crimes against persons. Jalla's offenses began with domestic violence incidents and escalated to assaulting other victims and threats with weapons, knives generally. He's been involved in multiple stabbing incidents with victims, identifying him as the offender. This year, Jalla has been the offender in a malicious wounding where he stabbed a man in May of 2025, in which he received a bond on July 31st, 2025. 3 weeks later, the incident occurred where he assaulted an older male. And on and on and on it goes. And the attorney, the county attorney, the district attorney, essentially, Commonwealth attorney there, did nothing. I want to read these for you because you need to appreciate these. And it's just, this is wild to me. Fairfax County Commonwealth attorney Steve Descano has continually let out of prison an illegal alien who ultimately wound up murdering a woman named Stephanie Minter, stabbing her to death at a bus stop. In 2014, he was charged with assault on a family member. 2015, assault on a family member. 2017, ID theft to avoid arrest. 2017, assault. 2018, possession of marijuana. 2018, destruction of property. The original charge was malicious shooting and throwing an occupied vehicle. 2018, contribution to delinquency of a minor. 2018, rape. 2018, grand larceny. 2022, trespass. 2023, trespass. 2023, disorderly conduct. 2023, drugs possession of Schedule 3. It was originally Schedule 1. They downgraded it. He pled guilty. 2023, malicious wounding. 2023, malicious wounding, pled guilty. Served to 7 years with 5 years suspended sentence. 2023, stole property from a person. 2024, petty larceny. 2024, trespass. 2024, petty larceny. 2024, disorderly conduct. 2024, malicious wounding. 2025, malicious wounding. In August of 2025, the assistant chief of police wrote to the assistant prosecutor. Jenna and I had a specific conversation regarding them prosecuting without a victim in court for the stabbing, given the circumstances, and she was on board with a victimless prosecution, and they let the guy out of jail. Time and time again, they let the guy out of jail, and ultimately, after 30 charges against him, many of which had the cases dismissed by the district attorney, he stabbed this woman to death. Steve Descano is the Commonwealth attorney that is in many places called the district attorney. And he has a record of not prosecuting crimes of non-white people. He has a record of this. He's a white guy and has a long record of not prosecuting people, but it gets worse. Senator Mark Warner was asked about the situation. And Mark Warner was dismissive of it and passed the buck and tried to blame the Trump administration. Mark Order essentially defended going light on illegal aliens. What is going on here? I need to try to explain this to you. I now know 3 different people. Think about how uncommon this must be. And yet I know 3 people, 2 women, 1 man, who were victims of crime by non-white people and raised the issue over failures to prosecute, and they lost friends on the left. They lost friends because the friends believed that as a systemically racist nation, the real victims were the people who committed the crimes. And by demanding their prosecution or raising awareness about the crimes, the actual victims of the crimes were doing an injustice. I realize your head is spinning right now. Let me say this again. I know 3 people, 2 women, 1 man. All 3 of them were victims of crimes. Burglary, assault. The people who committed the crimes had been regularly let out of jail by progressive prosecutors. And these 3 individuals went to the press about it. One of them went to their county meeting to complain about it. And they lost friends for raising awareness because progressives who they were friends with, and they themselves had been progressive, radicalizing moment for them, literally mugged by reality. They lost friends because the friends argued that by raising awareness about the issue, they were actually being mean and cruel to the people who were the victims, the criminals. Because the criminals were the victims because they were not white. They were systemically discriminated against by the United States. This is a poison that has infected the left. In Norway, you may recall this story. In Norway, a Norwegian man was held at knife point by a gang of Muslim immigrants, one of whom raped the Norwegian man. A male Muslim from the Middle East raped a Norwegian man. And the Norwegian man cried to the press that he felt horrible admitting what had happened, knowing that his rapist would be deported. In Minnesota, a white progressive woman acknowledged she had been a serial victim of crime and that she loved the immigrant community so much. She knew it was just them, and she needed to speak up on their behalf. A white woman in Chicago who was raped took the same position as the man in Norway, that it was far worse to throw the rapist in jail than to be raped because the system had been so cruel to that person. This is a mental illness on the left. It is an indoctrination of the left into critical theory and intersectionality, that the non-white person who commits crime is actually a victim, and the reason they are committing crime is because of the oppression inflicted on them and they're acting out, and it's not their fault. It is the ultimate racism and bigotry of the progressive left to take from individuals their agency. But that's what they do. Steve Descano, the Commonwealth attorney in Fairfax County, Virginia, is a racist. And he looks at himself as the virtuous white knight and ally of the non-white people, but he's actually a racist because what he has internalized and the way he operates as the Commonwealth attorney is to impute no free will and agency to the individual criminals. It's not them. They are part of a class of people. And that class of people, having been oppressed, they're just acting out. It's not on them. It's on society. It's society's fault. This is where the progressive left is. And by the way, there's a political issue here. In Fairfax County, Virginia, they regularly reelect this Commonwealth attorney because so many people in that county are white and progressive, and they have all internalized this poisonous belief. And when they are victims of crime, it is their belief that they brought it on themselves by being white. This goes to James Tallarico in Texas, who has essentially said that whiteness is an infecting virus that spreads racism. He believes that about himself, and that the way that you overcome this is allyship. You embrace allyship by being an ally to the non-white person, saying, you can't help that you murdered this white person. The system made you do it. You signal your allyship. If it sounds insane, it's because it is insane. It is a product of Marxism that has rotted the brains of white progressives in this country, in Virginia, in California, in New York, and elsewhere, where you poor black person, you've got no volition. You poor illegal alien, you have no volition. You are put upon by the white people, and you have no accountability for your crime because they made you do it. There's another story. Literally, as I am talking to you, I just refreshed this. Tim Carney in the Washington Examiner. Prostitution is illegal in the state of Virginia, but dozens of brothels nonetheless operate openly in Fairfax County. Why? Because of Steve Descano. County police say their hands are tied when it comes to prostitution businesses. Why? Descano has not explicitly announced decriminalization of prostitution, but one can better understand the country's booming prostitution industry by considering Descano's record of selective enforcement, his policy of not prosecuting misdemeanors, and his stated willingness to ignore laws he disagrees with, including the fact that these women are using their bodies to make money. And who are we to judge these non-white women who are engaged in prostitution because they have to do it to make money? Is that not the most belittling thing? You have to use your body to make money because you as a non-white person are incapable otherwise because the system is out to get you. This is the poisoned attitudes of the progressive left. By the way, Descano was one of those prosecutors who's been funded by the Soros machine. Think about Travis County, Texas, where 3 police officers shot and killed the Islamic terrorist who was gunning people down at a bar. Those 3 police officers are now going to have to go before a grand jury and be investigated for murdering the man. Why? Because the Travis County DA, funded by the Soros machine, has agreed to a new policy that if there's a police-involved shooting, those police are to be investigated by a grand jury to make sure they didn't act inappropriately. They got to go defend themselves before a grand jury, even though they're heroes. Left-wing prosecutions around the country, I'm telling you, it is a national idea. The Republicans are not messaging well, but they've got to. You're going to turn a lot of people against these progressive whites because most people are sane and they understand if you commit crime, it's on you, it's not on society. And yet the progressive left has come along and said, no, you're not responsible for your own actions because you're not white. That is bigotry and racism of the progressive left, taking from people their own volition because of the color of their skin. It dehumanizes them. It makes them something other than individuals. It's not a coincidence the party of slavery is yet again dehumanizing non-white people. Greetings, welcome. It is Eric Erickson here, 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, we have blown up another Iranian drone carrier. It was the size of a World War II aircraft carrier. It is now on fire and sinking in the Persian Gulf. What's so interesting is that Iranian media is circulating a clip of Iran blowing up the snot out of Tehran or Tel Aviv. There are explosions all over Tel Aviv in the video footage. It just happens to be Tehran, not Tel Aviv. So yes, the Iranian media is circulating footage of attacks on Tel Aviv that are actually attacks on Tehran because they got nothing. We have air supremacy in Iran right now. The war is going quite well for us. However, you do need to know 2 things. Now, The military is suggesting it could last for up to 6 months, which is a concern. And also that Donald Trump now says he wants full surrender, which we haven't done full surrender since World War II. So I don't know that one's going to work. There are concerns growing, obviously, about what the plan is. At this point, though, the plan seems very simple. Continue to destabilize the Iranian regime, allow the Israelis to blow up as much as they want, and then further to allow the Kurds to come in as best they can and blow up whatever they can. The Washington Post, NBC News, and other outlets are now confirming from multiple American sources that the Russians are sharing intelligence with Iran to target American forces. However, also, the same people are confirming that Iran now lacks the capabilities to engage those targets. Things appear to be going well for us. The question, though, is what comes next? And that I honestly don't know. I don't know what the plan is. Nobody seems to know other than the president. But right now, things are going pretty well. So I'm willing to just continue to let it go. We'll see. Now, I got to tell you about the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. You can get 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms and save $200 at EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Eric3. And also, you get a money-back guarantee. If they don't eliminate odors, they are great at odor elimination. Get one for your bedroom, get one for your basement, get one for your attic, get one for your RV, wherever you need them. Get one for your kitchen. Firing up whenever you've got odors that you need to wipe out. They go to the source of the odors and they wipe them out. Now, they also get rid of pet dander, pollen, dust. They get rid of 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, but they really shine at odor elimination. I've used them on my back porch and rental cars and hotel rooms. You can plug it up with a USB cord if you need to, or you can plug it directly into the wall, and it packs a wall up, wiping out odors. Get 3 of them, save $200, EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is Eric3, ERICK3 at EdenPureDeals.com. And if you're not satisfied with their odor elimination power, you get a money-back guarantee. The details are on the website at EdenPureDeals.com. Again, the discount code ERICK, the number 3, no space, at EdenPureDeals.com. They will wipe out odors.